Okay, ladies and gentlemen, everyone watching at home, welcome. You're all very welcome to the latest edition of Volleyball Ireland's Inspiring Players series. I'm delighted this evening that we can welcome unarguably the greatest middle blocker of all time. Our guest has had an amazing career that has included European Championship medals for her native Croatia, 4 CEV Champions League wins, an FIVB World Club Championship victory, too many major title successes in Turkey, Italy, and Russia for me to reel off. And I guess was also named in the CEV Team of the Decade. She's widely considered to be the best middle blocker ever. So very, very, very honoured and privileged to welcome you, Maja Poljak, to the latest instalment of our Inspiring Player series. Maja, how are you? How's things?
Thank you. Thank you for a nice introduction. Thank you for this quite pressuring title, the greatest middle blocker of all. I feel very, very flattered, but on the other hand, I mean, there are many great players in my role, so I think it's a little bit overstatement, but again, thank you for the kind words.
No problem. So look, out of all those plaudits that I've mentioned there in the introduction, which of your achievements do you rank as the biggest and best?
Well, there's no, I mean, you cannot really pick the favorite trophy. It's really difficult to choose one. But I would say that my biggest achievement was really lasting for a long time. I guess that having such a long and fruitful career is the greatest achievement that I managed to have. I think it's very rare to see players that actually manage to keep a high level and compete at high level competitions for such a long period. And whenever someone asks me what's my greatest sport achievement, I always say I graduated at a state university. I consider that my biggest sport achievement because it was definitely not an easy task. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the thing that brought me the biggest happiness because I got into sports ever since I was a kid. I grew up with my father playing professional basketball. I basically grew up in a basketball gym. So sports was always there, but for me it was quite difficult and challenging to balance the education and high level sports.
So you grew up, obviously, so your dad's into basketball. Was there any pressure to focus on basketball, and what made you choose volleyball instead?
Well, there was absolutely no pressure. My father was very funny at the time. I was totally into basketball. I mean, I grew up watching him. At home, there was always basketball on TV. NBA was like from morning until evening, all the time on TV. Yep. And I really wanted to get into basketball, but my dad was not so much for the idea because he thought it was too physical and too aggressive as a sport for a girl. So he really didn't want me to go through all the pain that he went through and through all the fighting under the basket. So yeah, I mean, he was the one that actually tricked me into volleyball. I started playing volleyball because his teammate was married to a volleyball player, and they all came to this master plan to take me to the best volleyball match I could possibly see at that time. And it was the finals of the Champions League that was actually taking place in Zagreb, in the city that we were living. So, you know, straight away to the top of the top. And of course, I liked it. Of course, I liked it. So I said, okay, I'll give it a try.
So seeing that top level, the best of the best, live in front of your eyes, that was something that was really important for inspiring you to play the sport.
Absolutely. I mean, those were the best teams at the moment, competing in front of me. A full hall that was really like the atmosphere was amazing because there was a local team competing that at the time had an incredible roster.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I said, this really looks like fun. I could give it a try. Since they're insisting so much, I actually really like it. So yeah, let's try to do a practice and see what comes out of it.
And then did going to that Champions League event, is that then something that's resonated with you in terms of your own professional career now that you've retired from professional volleyball? You work in organising these major events for the CV.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Champions League is just an amazing competition, and definitely the favorite competition of all. And I don't know, every time I was competing at a Final Four at the time when I was
Mm.
playing. Now we have a different format, and we had the super finals introduced 2 years ago. It was amazing. I mean, I would just like completely go to another dimension. There was nothing else except the goal that I had, and that was lifting the trophy together with my teammates. And I would suffer and struggle as much as it was needed, but I knew that that amazing feeling cannot be replaced with anything else.
So that's what drove you on to win the Champions League 4 times with 3 different clubs.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was hilarious because the last Champions League I won, it looked like it was the first one. I mean, I was like a little kid jumping around the court and the loudest and really enjoying it as it was the first one. So
Yeah.
yeah, the feeling was continuous. It never faded away.
And is that something that was easy for you throughout? Obviously, you had a long career. Did you was it easy to motivate yourself um, towards the end of your career, or was it purely the kind of the big events, the Champions League finals that you would get up for and psyched up for?
Well, I have to say that I mean every time you would play for a trophy for me was really amazing, and I before every season I would put myself some goals. Sometimes they were more realistic, sometimes they were less, but it was always the same goal, and that was to lift the trophy with the team. I mean, it's a great experience, it's a great feeling, and I mean even the last season when I was feeling physically quite down. I anyway managed to lift something, and I mean, again, it looked like I was 17 years old, just
Yeah,
starting from the face expression that I had. Of course, there were a few more wrinkles that at that time on the face, but I mean, the happiness was just amazing. And yeah, I mean, that moment of the team spirit when you know that everything that you put in pays off. It's just incredible. I mean,
yeah.
that's I have to say it's a feeling that I really really miss after I stopped playing professionally volleyball. It's something that cannot that easily be replaced.
Yeah, sure, sure. Um, Kind of rolling it back then to the start of your career. Um, I know we talked about going to watch that first high level match, but what was it about playing the sport that really kind of captured your imagination?
About volleyball, well, I was, as I said, I was always into sports. I mean, grew up in a sport family, surrounded with male cousins that were also into sports. So we were just like playing all the time, whatever we
Yeah,
could think of. But when I started playing volleyball, I mean, I thought it was really challenging and an incredibly a sport where you need incredible skills because it's not only the power, it's the agility, the possibility of reading the opponent. There's a lot of technique involved because if you miss a little bit with the technique implementation, you can really make a huge mistake, as it's the case in the fine details of reception, of setting that can influence the others. And really, it's also connected because in other sports, someone passes a little bit bad the ball, someone can, like try to correct it. And it looks to me that it's quite easier, and people can be in other team sports a little bit more independent. But in volleyball, there's a continuous flow. The ball must never drop down. And I think that's what really makes beautiful the sport, because in volleyball, I think the team spirit is really even more accentuated.
Yeah, and it's something coming from myself who doesn't have a volleyball background. Something I really noticed that differentiates volleyball from other sports is that camaraderie. And after every point, there's a huddle, there's that kind of connection, which you don't typically get in other team sports and field sports. It's something that's really unique to volleyball, and a big strength of the game. So when you were playing then in youth volleyball, how old you would have played your first competitive match, and what was that experience like, going onto the court and serving the ball for the first time with everybody kind of focusing on you?
Oh man, it was really. I was so scared. I mean, honestly, I was really scared. I was trembling. I felt that my stomach is like this, and that I could not really have fluent movements. But it's something that you learn to live with. I mean, it was funny for me that close to the end of my career, I spoke to one of my coaches, and he was telling me, like, yeah, I don't know how to help my girls to fight that fear. I mean, god damn it, you were never feeling this fear. I could never sense that you're scared. And I was like, that's not true. I mean, from the first moment until the last point that I played, fear is something absolutely normal. It's just the way of directing it in the proper way, and fighting over it. So I think that those emotions that you can feel in this certain situations are something completely normal, and you can feel scared, you can feel too excited that you cannot control yourself or something. I mean, I've seen all sorts of situations with my teammates and also with myself, but each person has to find its own way how to balance those emotions and get the best that they can.
And would those nerves then stay with you even throughout your career? So I know we talked about the finals and how pumped up you would be. Look, you're serving in a Champions League final. I presume there's still an element of nervousness, even if it is a little bit different to the nervousness of when you were 12 years old, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, before the Champions League finals, it was the biggest problem was to fall asleep on time. I mean, you just can't wait to get to the court, and you cannot really calm down. But what really helped me in time, I realized it was something that really helps to relieve the stress, was having routines. And I would always have my routine the day before the match and the day of the match, and it would really help me feel calm that I did everything that I could from my side. It was not like, okay, I have a match, so maybe I'm gonna go grab drinks with friends, or maybe I'm gonna go shopping this day. No, for me, like the day before the match, it was always saint, and the day of. And then, of course, there was time for drinks with friends after the match was over. I mean, you can always, anyway, find time to socialize and to get some other part of your life in the first place.
Sure. So you're growing up playing, I presume you're playing club volleyball as a youth, as a junior, and a little bit in school as well. I'm kind of wondering, for our younger listeners that maybe 13, 14, 15 out there, is there any kind of pieces of advice that you would give them, or any particular advice that somebody shared with you when you were growing up as a younger volleyball player?
Well, I think that like life and sports and whatever you do, it will always be full of obstacles, and it's normal that there are better moments, there are worse moments, but the important thing is that you enjoy what you do. I mean, until the very end of my career, I was really enjoying playing volleyball, and you need to find the spark. You need to be passionate about what you do, because it's gonna bring you to the next level. If you do things just to do them, that's not the right way. You need to find the passion inside yourself, because it's gonna help you move to the next level, definitely.
Yeah.
Always think of it as a fun and as a passion, and then the results will also come much easier.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm talking too much there. Maja, what we're going to do now, we're actually going to show the guys a bit of you in action, and then I'm going to hand over to, we have some of the national team players on the call this evening. I'm going to ask them questions of their own. So forgive me, the sound quality might not be great on this, and look, we're kind of streaming it through Zoom. So again, it might be a little bit fragmented, but just a short video of some of your Champions League moments, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which was your best final that you played in? Which was your best individual performance?
The best individual performance, I would say probably the one that we won in Szczecin in Poland. I think that was 2015, something like that. I think that was probably the best performance, because I was already a more mature player, so I could also react in certain situations a little bit more with the ratio and a little bit less with the heart, which was, of course, when you're younger, difficult to balance. And yeah, I was still physically doing quite okay, so I think that was probably my best performance.
Would you say you're quite an emotional player on the court?
I was very emotional, very much emotional, and actually that was also the way for me how to fight the stress that I was feeling, because I would just let it out through shouting and direct it into the fighting spirit. So even though some people thought that I never seemed scared or something, of course, I mean, scare and tension is normal for every human being. So I think it would be unrealistic to say that someone never feels scared. It's perfectly normal. But again, as I said, the important thing is to find a way to direct it in a proper way.
I would see a lot of coaches would use your blocking technique as a best practice example. Is there something kind of unique about your style, or certain things that you would try and focus on when you go into the net?
Yeah, I mean, I think that every coach that I worked with taught me something, and I tried to collect from each one of them that I worked with. So I was really very lucky to have to have worked with great coaches. But I was also very humble until the end of my career, knowing that we need to learn until we're alive. So I was always trying to learn something new and find a new way. But yeah, I mean, my biggest goal when I was blocking was to be as quick as possible in the reactions, and I was always trying to let's say do that first step as quick as possible. With time, I realized that most of us are trying to read the game, and then by reading the game, we would just go on one side and then try going back on the other side, and that's exactly the moment where you lose the most time, and you're just out of rhythm, out of speed. So what I was trying to do was really wait, and only after I saw the ball try to do the movement as quick as possible, because the more time was passing, better and better setters were coming in, and they were trying to hide where they would set. So this moment of going in the wrong direction and trying to get back is basically what makes every middle blocker lose a lot of time.
Sure. Okay. So look, what I'm going to do now is, as I mentioned earlier, we have some members of the women's senior national team squad joined us this evening. So girls and coaches, I'm going to hand over to you guys. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please don't be shy. If you'd like to pop the questions in the chat box, or just pop your hand up using the reactions button at the bottom, we'll hand the floor over to you. So who's going to kick us off? All right, we'll pick someone. Okay, Amy or Sullivan, how are you?
Hi. We're in level 5 of lockdown now, and we have no training. So I wanted to ask what kind of exercises you did to develop your skills off the court.
So yeah, I know that this is not an easy moment for anyone to be in lockdown and not to be able to practice. But if it's something that can make you smile a little bit, I actually have a mat in my apartment as well, and I keep practicing, even though these are not anymore volleyball skills. But yeah, I try to anyway motivate myself, because first of all, I think the whole world is in the same situation. We have to be aware of it, and I know times are difficult, but please, everyone, just try to keep your mind as positive and as healthy as possible. And also, this time will pass by. All the world is working on making it go away. So please try to be patient a little bit more and not give up in such a challenging moment. What I can definitely give you as a good idea about working out in this moment are a lot of you can do a lot of body weight exercises. I mean, now also the whole concept of physical preparation has moved much more to functional exercises rather than equipment from fitness gyms that was in the past. So any kind of body weight activation will actually give you the possibility of strengthening deeper muscles that help a lot the stability of all the joints. So whatever your coaches are advising as free body squats or lunges or core exercises, which are super important. I know they're super boring, but they're a life savior. I mean, all these things are really important. Then, I mean, with the ball, of course, times are complicated, but I mean, I think that you can always try to work a little bit on the setting technique at home with the wall. if you don't have difficult neighbors, maybe even some passing on the wall, but that I would leave to you to decide if it's the case or not. And for sure, if you have some space, I mean, all the, let's say, lateral movements, which are extremely important in volleyball, whatever role you do on the net, if you're a middle blocker, if you're outside hitter, or an opposite player, or a setter as well. Everybody nowadays are trying to block as much as possible. So all these openings and this large first step, which actually gives you quite a lot of speed, initial speed, which is really super important and helps you get to your blocking position. I think that's a really good exercise to do given the circumstances. I think those like quick and short openings on the side are great. And of course, anything that you can do in trying to improve your reactions. There are a lot of like those balls that you cannot predict where they jump. I don't know what's their professional name, how you can call them, but I don't think they're very expensive as an equipment, but it will help you improve your reactions, because for defense, for also reception, for blocking, it's very good to stay focused and to be able to make the good reaction in a proper moment. So I hope it can help a bit.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Amy. We'll go to Mikhail now. Mikhail, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great,
Hi,
thanks.
Maja.
Great.
How are you?
Hi. All good here.
Good. I actually have two questions for you. The first one was, I was just wondering what draws you to the middle position, because a lot of the responsibility of the front row, both offense and defense, falls to the middle player. And I was just wondering, is that what draws you to it? Is the excitement of getting to the ball and getting to block it and being the major hitter in the middle? And the second one was, do you have any tips on actually reading the setter and the hitters? Is there anything that you picked up yourself that could help any other middle blockers and hitters?
Yeah, so the choice of the role, it's not actually a role that someone that doesn't understand that much volleyball can think as a very great and interesting role. Everybody sees the spiker and they say, "Oh, what a great hit," and that's awesome. But a middle blocker does really a lot of dirty job. I think that is also a very important role in the team. So for me, it was great. Really, I was always mostly focused on block throughout my career. Maybe at the beginning, I was a little bit more focused on the attack side, but then I realized that I could harm the opponent much more with a great block. I think that a great block really hurts the other people's self-esteem. And it can really bring down the opponent team. So for me, it was always the goal to help also from this, let's say, psychological point of view, the team, because it hurts really a lot when you get a bad block. So that's why I was really always so much into blocking. And the second question was, what were the tips that I could give for the reading of the setter? Well, each setter has really, there are many setters with so different techniques. I mean, I played against setters that are really easy to read. There I would feel a bit more relaxed to anticipate. But if I was playing against a setter that hides very well where she's going to set, for example, Maja Poljak, the setter of the Serbian national team, she was quite difficult for me to play if the reception was good, because she was quite difficult to read. So in those kind of moments, I would rather prefer waiting to see where the ball goes and then try to speed it up and arrive where I arrive. Whatever was the agreement with defense, whether I try to make a passive block by closing the hole and just try to like at least touch in a good way the ball, the attack from the opponent. Or if I could realize that I was actually, even though there was a hole, it was fine for me to jump there and make sure that my defense knows that they need to get in the middle of the block. So it was just really a lot of communication depending on the team that we were playing against. I wouldn't get so worried about reading the setter, because I think that in men volleyball that is much quicker. This becomes a heavy problem, and they need to find different options, read or even make choices that might end up as wrong choices. But I think that the women volleyball is still, not that quick to the point that you really need to be there to read and try to anticipate. There's a lot of, if you do good physical preparation, you can still make it and do a really good job with the connection between block and defense.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mikhail. Alex Graves, you have a question there?
Yeah, I think Carly might as well. Maja, thanks so much for joining us, and Gary, thanks for the chance for us to join in here. I love watching you play, and one of the things that stood out is you're so powerful and fast that you're cheering because you've won the point before your feet have landed back on the ground. And I love that. I just felt really inspired about we're working on our own, fitness program, and Vieira on the call here is helping us with that. But the power that you have is really amazing to see and to strive for. My question is more along the lines of the length of your career. I love that you played as long as you did, and some of us have been playing for many years, and some of us are newer to our careers. Anything that you found helped you to have a longer career? There's some people on the call who are battling some injuries, shoulder joints, and all that good stuff. But what worked for you and enabled you to play as long as you did at that level?
Well, thank you for your kind words. First of all, it's a pleasure to be with all of you, and I'm really happy that you're all being so active, which makes me hope that this call is really going to be a good thing for all of you. Well, the first thing that I did when I decided to go pro, I took my own coaching, my own fitness coach, because of the fact that I chose to go to Italy. And the first information that I got was that they just, like put you a lot of weight and tell you like, just lift it. And the Italian teams really do a lot of heavy lifting. And the performance of the players were great, but also there were some injuries because you bring your body to a limit. So I actually focused really a lot on learning the lifting technique with a broomstick. And I know it sounds funny, but I was always really a perfectionist, and I tried to do the best that I could, everything that I was into, and I realized that with a great technique, things come better. You don't have to be that powerful. I mean, I was never lifting the weights that my teammates were lifting. Some of my teammates were lifting, but not because I didn't want to, but because we had different body structure, and I was never a particularly large player, and there were players that were just by nature much larger and stronger than I was. But I was always focusing on the proper technique. So the technique in lifting helped me to preserve good health and not to injure myself with doing exercises and fitness. And then when I was on the court, I realized that with a good blocking technique, I could be quicker. So I was trying to perfection it. As I said, my biggest issue for the longest part of my career was actually the fact that I was trying to read the setter, and then I would just like read it wrong sometimes, and I would end up in a wrong direction, and there was no way that I could come back. When I realized that even with waiting and speeding up afterwards, I could make it, and I was able to at least touch a ball. So I think that really, even though some players are born naturally stronger and some are born naturally weaker, let's say, less strong, it doesn't really mean anything. You can really bring your game to the next level if you focus on the details, because in the end, the details make the difference.
Thank you.
Great, thanks for that, Alex. Did you say Carly had a question next?
Yeah, I do. I had two questions, but you kind of already answered one. But what would you say are the most common mistakes that you see middle players make on a regular basis?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the one that I was doing myself. I mean, trying to read a very good setter. I guess that's one thing, and the second thing is starting in a blocking position, either with hands down, or starting with straight legs. So I think that's not a good starting point. Like at the end of my career, when I managed to be quicker and quicker, even though I was older. What I drastically changed was the fact that I was really trying to always keep my hands high. So in case they play with a quick ball, I could try to at least touch it with a quick jump, and keeping my legs slightly bent. So it would allow me either to jump up quickly, or from that position to move quickly on the sides. But in case you have your legs straight, when you see the ball, the first thing that you do, you go down. So the ball is already gone. And second thing, if a middle blocker is playing on the other side and you keep your hands down, by the time that you pull them up, ball gone. So those were the two things that I was constantly trying to improve myself, because of course it's a natural position. It's not a very natural movement to stand there with your hands high. So I was all constantly trying to just keep them okay. They don't have to be completely extended, but at least a bit high, so that from this position my reaction would be quicker, instead of pulling them from down and trying to reach that ball.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Carly. We will go to Maria next.
Hi, I have two questions for you. Did you struggle at all when you were starting your professional career to adjust to the pace of their play? And you said you were a super emotional player. Did you ever struggle that they were negative emotions, or were you always just grand?
So can you please explain to me the first one about the pace that you said? Could you repeat that again, please?
Yeah, sure. When you were starting your professional career, did you struggle to like keep up with how fast the ball was moving, or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's perfectly normal to struggle. I mean, you should see one of my first videos. I mean, they were hilarious. When my mom and dad put that on, when they're in the mood of seeing me when I was a kid, they sometimes rewatch those those video cassettes. They actually still exist. I mean, it's hilarious, of course. I mean, it was. I mean, if I compare myself in the beginning and what I was in the end, I mean, there's no story. I don't think that I could ever think that I would be able to improve that much, nor could anyone connect these two players. But it's a perfectly normal situation. I mean, whatever you do in your life, it cannot come overnight. Even if you decide to be a programmer or a lawyer, I mean, success cannot come overnight. There's a lot of hard work behind. So there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot of sadness because I couldn't do what I thought I should, and things that I was expecting. But those are perfectly normal things. First of all, we're all humans. There is no ideal person, and it's perfectly normal to make mistakes. And I actually have to say that the mistakes that I did and the frustration that I felt made me push even harder with the idea of not feeling that way again, because I didn't want to feel that way. I knew that there are better emotions, so I was working hard in order to not get a block, not make a mistake that would influence my teammates, and was always trying to get better. So really, don't worry if things are not going well now. It's not the moment that they're perfect, and just the important thing is that you keep trying, and that you work to get better, and that you have your goals in front of yourself, and most importantly that you enjoy, because sport has to be passion. It cannot be a thing that someone makes you do. You just have to enjoy it, and for yourself, and for the time that you have the chance to spend with your teammates.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Maria. Maja, just on that, you talked then just about dealing with frustration. Was there ever a stage in your career when you just felt like giving up, that you didn't think that you could make it to the very top, and you wanted to pack it all in and give up this career? Or did you always have that kind of sense of drive to keep going?
Not at all. I mean, especially when you're at the beginning and you still don't realize what great things can actually come out of it. I mean, there were moments I wanted to give up. I wanted to give up also at the end of my career for some other reasons, because I was injured at the time, so I had different frustrations to deal with. But yeah, I mean, there were moments that I can remember as it was yesterday. I was 17 years old, and the Olympics in Sydney were happening, and I was already at that age. I already did a tour with the national team. I went to the World Cup in Japan. I wasn't expecting to play, but I ended up playing in the starting six, which was really a miracle at that age. And right after that, we were supposed to have the next competition, were the Olympics in Sydney. And I was like so ready to go there. Like I had already the chance to play in the starting six of the national team, and I was like, Olympics at the age of 17. If someone told me, like, I would never believe it will happen. But I was like 100% sure it's going to happen, because I played in starting six just a bit before, so I'm definitely going to be in the roster. And I wasn't called. Me and my teammate were the youngest, and we were the 13th and 14th player from the roster. Only 12 were going. And I felt so frustrated. I mean, I was so sad. It was like the biggest sport disappointment that I ever had until that moment, and probably afterwards as well. But it was something that actually I realized that I had absolutely no motivation in that moment, and I was like, "Why am I even doing this?" Because I mean, every athlete is playing to go to the Olympics, so what's the purpose of all of this? And I felt like I wanted to give up. And a few weeks after this huge disappointment, I got 3 huge offers to go to play pro. And I realized that, okay, maybe they don't want me on the national team, but I guess I'm being actually respected for from what I'm doing, because I was called by three great clubs. One was a small club from Italy, and then there was Bergamo, which at that time was the greatest club in Italy with a great history and Champions Leagues won, and etc., etc. And the other club was Cannes, which was a French club that at the time was doing great, and they had already, I think, 1 or 2 Champions League titles. And I was like, how come? What is this? And I realized I was anyway being appreciated, and my work was paid off. But I wasn't really ready, because I was only 17 years old. I still had to finish high school, and I was a complete nerd at school. So I had all straight A's, and I was like, no way I'm gonna give up on school and focus only on sports. Yeah, I mean, this frustration that I felt, I realized that if I just stay in Croatia, play volleyball after such a big frustration that I faced, I'll never be able to make something great. So this frustration that I had actually made me do a very crazy move and accept an offer at the age of 17. And I moved to Italy, even though I didn't finish high school at the time, and I went to play pro. So something positive came out of it. Now, many years later, I finished high school, I graduated, and I had a great volleyball career, but I'm sure none of it would have happened, at least not in this way, if I didn't suffer such a huge frustration and disappointment as I did, because it really pushed me to do something much braver than I would expect to do at that age.
Sure. Just wondering, how did you then balance your educational studies? So you went to Italy. Did you just put the finishing high school on hold for a couple of years, or did you?
No. I finished high school the same year.
Yep.
I mean, I had a discussion with the how do you call that, the headmaster of the school.
Yep.
My parents came to talk to her, and they explained the situation and asked if there's a solution to make me finish high school somehow. And she was like, let's just agree that she comes every month, and we'll coordinate the agreement with the professors. So she does monthly tests, and she studies from home, because I was among 3 top students at the time in the high school. And they told me, I mean, you don't have grade issues, and penalizing you in this moment would be such a shame. We just want to help you and support you. We know that you're going to keep on studying, and we know that you will never leave education aside, and we'll try to support you even in your professional career, because it's something really amazing. So I have to say I was really lucky to have such an understanding headmaster that helped me also find an agreement with the professor. So yeah, basically I would have a match on Sunday evening in Italy. My mom would drive me 4 hours, and we would come back to Zagreb. I would wake up in the morning. From 8 till 2 p.m. I would stay at school, do the tests, and then my mom would bring me back to Italy, and on Tuesday I would show up at practice as if nothing happened. And the studies were a little bit different, because at the time there were not so many online courses as there are available now. So I mean, the online courses were really of poor quality. Private schools were not of high level. Now everything is so much better, and everything is so much easier from the educational point of view. But I mean, at the time in Croatia, if you would go to a private school, it would mean you didn't make it to the state university. I mean,
yeah.
It was just the option B. Now they're way better private schools than the state university. And yeah, I didn't have the possibility of doing online courses. So, but what the good thing was that we had the exceptional course at the time at the university for people that were working. So I was not obliged to take lessons, but I had to give exams in the same time, in the same let's say periods of the year as the colleagues, students that were going regularly. So yeah, it was just a lot of reading, a lot of struggles, but I mean, it paid off, and for me, it was a really a difficult but incredibly satisfying experience.
Yeah, of course. Great, thank you for that. Marie-Claire, you have a question. I'll hand over to you.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for your time tonight and for sharing your experiences and your insights so far. It's been wonderful to get on the court feedback and off the court as well. So having a look at the introduction clip tonight of you playing, there was a lot of slide balls, and I'm just wondering if that is one of your favorite fast attacks to hit, and if it isn't, what is? You seem to have taken this attack across all your teams, and just curious, as a setter myself, where did you feel at which club did you feel that your strongest connection with the setter was to exploit that slide ball as a favorite team kind of combo attack?
Yeah, it's an attack that I really liked a lot. It's something that I learned from a teammate. When I was still in Zagreb, I had the great pleasure to play with an amazing player at the time, Lyuba Sokolova. She's a Russian player that was coming back after she gave birth to her kid. So, I mean, she just took an easy season playing with some kids in Zagreb, and I was the fortunate one to look at her and really try to copy all of her movements. So I could definitely say that I learned really a lot from her, and it kind of stick throughout the whole career, because I think the slide movement helps you attack balls even with the reception that is not that perfect. While with a regular quick ball in front of the setter, I mean, you're really quite depending on a perfect pass. So this allowed a little bit more freedom, and that's why I was attacking throughout the whole career much more that way. And the best setter that I played with for that ball was definitely Eleonora Lobianco. She's an Italian setter that I played with in Italy, and I mean that was her strongest set actually. So it was really an easy choice. I mean, she was really great at setting the slide ball, and also I have to say Robin Amo, which is she's a U.S. setter, and we played in Vicenza. And right now she's a coach of Hawaii University. So she was really also an incredible setter for the middle blocker. I really enjoyed it. That's a lot.
Thank you. It was great watching you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marie-Claire. Orla, I think you have a question. We'll come to Orla next.
Hi, thanks for inspiring us. It's great. I suppose my question is, how do you get yourself and your teammates out of a slump mid-set, maybe to go on and win the game? Because I know good mentality is key to kind of finish out a game.
Oh, that's a great question. I love that you asked that. I have to say that I think that my teams had the biggest number of crazy turnovers in the history of volleyball. So I will very gladly tell you about my first Italian championship that we won in Bergamo. We were 2-0 in matches down, and the last and we were 2-1 in sets, and 24-12 21, I think, for the opponent team. So if they win one, they were supposed to win just one ball, and end of the story. It was 3 out of 5, and they're leading like incredibly. I mean, no one could ever expect that we would win a match like that. And I remember as it was yesterday. Really, it's one of the best speeches that I got, and it was not an athlete. It was the president of my club. He was a successful businessman, and he came that morning at the practice, and he told us, "I just have to tell you two things. Every time that I was trying to be better than someone, I really tried to hate my opponent, and I like not to like harm them physically or wish them bad health, but I really tried to like pull out really negative emotions towards them. So I would try to hate them the most possible I can, in order to also perform better. And second thing that I have to tell you is, please just play careless. Like, don't bother. Don't go and think, oh my God, I hope I'm not going to make a mistake. Like, that's already a mistake. You just have to go convinced and think that you're going to score an ace. Now you're going to do a great block. Now you're going to do an amazing attack. And that was the best ever advice that I could get, and it was not even from an athlete. So yeah, we managed to like really turn over great results that were incredible. But I had really the experience from my personal experience. I realized that it's never done until the referee whistles, and it's crazy what kind of amazing things can happen on the court if there's great team spirit and belief and support from your teammates.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cheers, Ola. Jana, I think you have a question.
If that's okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Maja. It was really interesting and very inspiring. I just wanted to ask you, a little bit touched on that already. Do you have any tips on how to deal with the pressure of the performing at such a high level? You mentioned routines before. Yeah. Do you have any specific routines yourself and the teammates that you felt really helped you to perform at your very best? And other than routines, is there anything else you could kind of tell us that could help us going into the high level competition?
Yeah, well, I think it's quite a personal thing. I don't think I can give an example that can fit everyone's character. But what really helped me, I can share only without any scientific base or proof. What was good for me, I mean, I was really so much into routines. It was really at the limit of someone worrying for my health almost, because it was like really I had the same dish I would eat the night before. I was going at exactly the same time to bed. I would not fall asleep at the same time, but I mean, it was always like going at 11, put yourself in bed and try to relax and fall asleep. Then in the morning, always the same breakfast, always the same type of clothes for the practice. I had the same set of underwear that I would wash as soon as the match was over. Like, it was crazy, really. It was incredible, to the point that probably some of the people were getting worried. But always the same knee pads, always the same shoes, always the lucky hair string and the hair, how do you call them, the hair clips. So really, like, I would do everything that I knew it worked the last time, and hoping that it will work also this time. So it was just to, of course, there's no scientific proof, or it's not something that will help you, but I mean, it would just make me calm knowing that I did the same things that brought me to playing good, and it was subconsciously giving me some kind of piece that I did everything in my power to prepare myself the best that I can. And as far as the teammates, I mean, with the first point that you win, and I mean, it's just great when, whether it's your point or your teammate's point, that great emotion that you finally broke the ice and you're playing for points, and it's not anymore the warm up, but it's really like for what it counts. I think that the hug from your teammate, the holding your hand strong next to each other, I mean, that those are the emotions that in the end make you feel that you know, someone's got your back, because it doesn't matter, you can make a mistake, but you still have a bunch of other players that can cover up for you, just as you are supposed to cover up for them. So it's just about team spirit and feeling secure in the people that you have nearby.
Thank you.
Perfect, Maja. I think that is a fantastic note and a fantastic kind of final message, really, to wrap up tonight's Inspiring Players series. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
For your insights, and look, we wish you the very best with the rest of your career organising these top European volleyball events. And I don't know, you might see a couple of these faces at one of your events sometime soon, hopefully.
Cross my fingers.
So thanks again for your time.
Good luck to all of you. Stay safe, stay healthy, be patient, and keep on playing volleyball and enjoying it, most of all.
Thanks, Maja. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thanks so
Cheers.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.